Welcome to another edition of Talking Models. Another blast from the past today as we look at Nocturna Productions-Nosferatu, sculpted by Staffan Linder from Swede Creations. Unfortunately, this beautiful kit is no longer available, but this guy was lucky enough to get one. So we're going to talk a little bit about this one today. But first I want to talk a little bit about the movie. If you've never seen this movie, do yourself a favor and give it a view. The music, the cinematographic, everything about it, the way the director shot it, the actors, it's creepy. So give yourself a treat. Pull up a chair, grab some popcorn, get this movie. I just purchased this one on Blu-ray. Beautiful transfer, and again, it's just very creepy. So, on to the model today. As you can see, this captures one of the scenes from the movie where she is at the mirror and he opens the door and she can't see him. All she sees is the door opening, but she can feel his presence. It's just a very creepy moment in the film. And then all of a sudden she looks next to her and there he is. And it's just captured so beautifully by Staffan. As you can see, I'm going to kind of just spin it around a little bit. You can see put a lot of detail into this. The faces are just perfectly sculpted. You get the chair that she's sitting on. You, of course, get Nosferatu himself. This one came with the cool base. I think they reissued this with a different base. This was the newer base. Basically just a wood floor with a base surrounded by rats. It's just a nice compact 1/8 scale. Small kit, does not take up a lot of shelf space, so it's got my marks. So a little bit about the figure, what I did on this. This was painted years ago. Basically what you've got is you've got the Count's cloak, which is straight up black with some near black used to actuate the different folds in his clothes and just give you some contrast. The typical rules apply to this one too, for me anyway. Transparent black, toning it down, dry brushing the folds, building the colors back up. For the Count himself, I used, basically I tried Freak Flex's Nosferatu Flesh, and I used that one in here, shot through an airbrush. Again, Freak Flex paint, water it down, otherwise you're going to be cleaning your airbrush for hours. So basically, over a gray primer, I started airbrushing in the Nosferatu flesh on his head and his hands, and then of course then it was base pastel work from there on out on this one. Red for the lips. You've got some different colors under his eyes. I used a black pastel to give him that sunken in look that he had in the film. Just some shading in the cheekbone areas, all the little crevices in his face. The same with his hands. Identical process, Nosferatu flesh, pastels, basically just shading it in with the pastels. His eyes, I again use that one of my favorite Freak Flex colors, Asphyxia Blue. You give him that real piercing blue eyes. The toothpick technique was again used in this one. Take the end of the toothpick, dip it in the black paint, gently touch the center of the eye, you have your perfect circle. So you can see he did just an amazing job on his face. It's very creepy. Now for the gal here, we basically did, this one was, I thought about doing this again with some of my other techniques to redo this with the honor that it deserves. This was basically just done with some ivory white, washed in some different colors in the folds of like a real light brown, and just to kind of make the folds stand out. Then again, just dry brush the original color over her gown. Her face was done with pale flesh on both her arms and her face, and then pastels were brought out to start bringing in color. I brought some red in her cheek areas, red in her lips, a little bit of red under her eyes, as you can see, and just worked some of kind of almost like a burnt sienna pastel within the folds of her fingers, her hands, her palms, just to kind of give it a different look. As the film progressed, especially near the end, no spoiler though, she just became much more pale. Her hair was straight up black with some dry brushing of near black, which rounded it out. Of course, very delicate and a fine brush on her eyebrow area, and you can dry brush that area with the near black also. So kind of similar to her hair. And her eyes, again, we just, you have to take your time on a 1/8 scale. It's much smaller than the 1/6, the wall hangers, the life-size bust. To me, sometimes it's very difficult to get in there. That's when a pair of those magnifying glasses come in handy. You can put that on and put them lenses down, and boom, it's as clear as day. And you can actually change the magnifying glasses in them to give you even a closer look. You know, as we age in this hobby, that becomes a problem, doesn't it? The eyes aren't what they used to be, so you need aids to help you continue to enjoy the hobby that you love. So don't be afraid to use them. Check them out. When you come down to 1/8 scale and smaller kits, they're a must-have. So as you see, the chair, basically, again, over the black. We just came in with some tie-in brown, airbrushed around the base of it, around the top of the cushion area. The cushion was airbrushed with dark red, so you get that nice little red background to the chair, which you see in a lot of old antique chairs. It's kind of more like a worn red. So again, if I were to be doing this today, I would definitely be using more trans black to deaden the cushion down, and then of course building up the reds to bring it back until I got the look I was shooting for. The base itself, black again, tie-in brown over the wood area of the flooring. The rats, basically it was a lot of fun. That was just straight up dry brushing, different rats with browns, grays. I liked using the pink eye burgundy out of the Freak Flex line for the tails on the rats. It's just a really good color. It's also really good for the eyes. If you want to start like the days of old, start with that base coat inside the eyes. Pink eyed burgundy is a great color for that. Then you can bring your gray or whatever color you choose to use for eyes. A lot of people use bleach bone tan is also a good color for that from the Freak Flex line. And then some will use just an ivory white. I guess it depends on the character that you're working on. But that pink eye burgundy, just for me, it's perfect for the rat's tails. And that's really all I did with this one. And again, you ever just kind of fight looking at some of your old kits that you've done years ago and you want to redo them? But then you look at your stash of kits that you have yet to build, and then the battle begins. You know, as I look around this room, most of the things in this room are newer builds. So I've grown from what I've done here to what I do now. And that's the beauty of the hobby as we continue to grow, try new things, and add new things to our toolbox. So when it's time to do a kit, we can bring out a new technique and we can try and see if it works for what we're doing. So with this kit, if you ever have a chance to pick this up, or if Cindy Fisher ever decides to re-release this one, hey Cindy, why don't you do it? There's a lot of people would buy it. You would have a true centerpiece in your collection. And again, if you haven't seen this movie, give it a shout and check it out. I bought mine on Amazon and a very reasonable price, and just a beautiful film to watch. So that's basically our Nosferatu kit today on this edition of Talking Models. And I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to doing a few more here in the next few months. And I would love to see you subscribe to this channel and join us as we look at new models every month and just talk models. Some of the techniques I used on each model that I spotlight, and maybe have a new friend through the process. Again, thanks for stopping in. Please subscribe. And have a great day today, and thanks for watching. God bless.